When you think about 7-Up today, it's easy to see it as a brand that's been forgotten by time. Sure, everyone still knows the name, and you can find it in stores everywhere, so calling it a complete disaster would be misleading. But here's the thing. No other soft drink has seen such a dramatic fall from grace. Here's what might shock you. Between the 1940s and 1970s, 7-Up held the third spot among America's best-selling sodas for roughly 3 decades. Back then, everyone knew the hierarchy. Coca-Cola and Pepsi dominated the cola category, while 7-Up carved out its own territory as the leading non-cola option. They even coined a term for themselves that would become legendary in advertising history, but we'll get to that. The past 5 decades tell a different story entirely. The 1970s marked the beginning of 7-Up's decline, and by the late 1990s, they dropped to 9th place in soda rankings. That's pretty much where they've stayed ever since. The early days, the 7-Up story begins in the 1920s with Charles Grigg, a man who understood both advertising and beverage creation inside and out. 10 years before creating 7-Up, he'd worked at a manufacturing firm where he developed an orange-flavored drink called Whistle. Management conflicts led him to leave, and his creation stayed behind with the company. History repeated itself when he created another orange drink named Howdy. This time he managed to take his formula with him when he departed, launching his own venture. But there was a problem. Orange Crush dominated the market, making competition nearly impossible. Howdy couldn't gain traction. Grigg spent the next couple of years perfecting something completely different, a lemon-lime-flavored beverage. When it finally hit the market in 1929, it faced virtually no competition. Nobody else was mass-producing anything quite like it, which made it stand out immediately. The original name? Bib label lithiated lemon-lime soda. Yes, really. Grigg chose this lengthy name because he wanted consumers to view it as beneficial for their health, a common marketing angle at the time. The drink actually contained lithium, and people purchased it believing it could stabilize their emotions or provide other wellness benefits. Fortunately, the name was shortened to 7-Up within a few years, though Charles Grigg never officially explained the reasoning. Various theories exist. It referenced 7 ingredients, or the 7-ounce bottle size, or perhaps he'd seen cattle with a similar brand mark. My theory? He simply recognized that 7-Up was memorable and catchy, and maybe he appreciated the air of mystery around it. The distinctive flavor, memorable name, and perceived health properties all contributed to 7-Up becoming one of America's major soda brands. Quick favor, if you found this video interesting, subscribing helps us cover more rise and fall stories like this. Kindly do please. The golden years in the 1950s, 7-Up partnered with Disney for a marketing campaign featuring Fresh Up Freddy, an animated rooster character. He appeared during the popular Disney series Zorro, making the beverage hugely popular among children. This campaign's influence lasted decades. There's even speculation it inspired the classroom game, Heads Up, 7-Up, that teachers used in elementary schools well into the 1990s. The late 1960s represented 7-Up's absolute zenith, thanks to what's considered one of the most brilliant advertising campaigns in history. They branded themselves as the Uncola, positioning themselves as the alternative to Coca-Cola and Pepsi, both colas. Obviously, to fully appreciate this genius, consider the cultural moment. This was the Vietnam War era, the civil rights movement, when counterculture was thriving. Young people were questioning authority, challenging the government, and rejecting established norms. Without turning this into a history lecture, the point is clear. Youth culture was all about challenging the status quo. So when 7-Up positioned Coca-Cola and Pepsi as the mainstream establishment and themselves as the rebellious alternative in 1968, it struck a chord with young consumers. The campaign's most iconic commercial featured actor Jeffrey Holder, notably, the first black actor in their advertising, cleverly contrasting cola nuts with Uncola nuts, simply a lemon and lime. The campaign propelled 7-Up to unprecedented heights. The decline begins. Sadly, maintaining that success proved impossible. By the early 1970s, 7-Up's numbers started dropping, and the descent continued. For years, 7-Up had been the only significant lemon-lime soda available. That all changed in 1961 when Coca-Cola launched Sprite. Within 5 years, Sprite was available nationwide, and by the 1970s, it was capturing market share and becoming consumers' new preference. Sprite represented a genuine threat. In 1978, tobacco giant Philip Morris purchased 7-Up. To be clear, 7-Up was already in trouble. Despite having no experience in beverages, many believed Philip Morris could turn things around. After all, their marketing had successfully popularized Marlboro cigarettes and Miller beer. Not the noblest products, perhaps, but it demonstrated their capabilities. People were hopeful. Looking back, though, reviving 7-Up at that point seemed nearly impossible. Consider this. The Uncola campaign worked because it diverted people from colas toward lemon lime. But with Sprite now dominating and PepsiCo soon launching Slice, which contained 10% real fruit juice, steering people away from cola no longer meant steering them toward 7-Up. The new strategy focused on 7-Up being caffeine-free while competitors contained caffeine. In 1981, they even introduced a caffeine-free cola called Like. It flopped. Pepsi-Free launched the following year, caffeine-free Coca-Cola the year after that, and many bottlers loyal to those major brands refused to distribute Like. Getting it to market proved extremely difficult. Ultimately, 7-Up cost Philip Morris tens of millions in losses. A struggling brand when acquired, it was struggling even worse 8 years later when they admitted defeat and sought a buyer. The almost merger. With all their resources, experience, relationships, and customer loyalty, how could Philip Morris compete with Coca-Cola and Pepsi? It seemed the only path forward was for one of those giants to acquire 7-Up. In 1986, that nearly happened. An agreement was reached to sell 7-Up to PepsiCo. A Pepsi spokesperson declared that 7-Up was a top-quality product with potential to become one of the world's most popular soft drinks. They promised to put full marketing power behind building its market share. They had ambitious plans. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola agreed to purchase Dr. Pepper, but the Federal Trade Commission blocked both deals, citing monopoly concerns. However, PepsiCo did acquire 7-Up's international operations, just not the crucial U.S. market. A confusing new chapter. What happened next in the U.S. is somewhat complicated. A Dallas investment bank called Hicks and Haas orchestrated a leverage buyout of Dr. Pepper for approximately $400 million. Just months later, they purchased 7-Up for $240 million. 2 years after that, the companies merged into Dr. Pepper/7-Up Incorporated, valued at $1.3 billion. Instead of competing as parts of Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, they joined forces to compete against them. This combined entity saw increasing sales, but Dr. Pepper was thriving while 7-Up continued struggling. By 1993, when they went public to raise funds to address the $1 billion in debt from the leverage buyouts, Dr. Pepper ranked 4th in soda sales while 7-Up ranked 8th. The problem? Coca-Cola and PepsiCo were aggressively promoting their own lemon-lime brands, while Dr. Pepper faced minimal competition in its category. Lost in the shuffle. In 1995, Cadbury Schweppes acquired Dr. Pepper/7-Up for $1.7 billion. The candy company had been gradually buying soft drink brands, including Crush. Ironically, 7-Up finally joined forces with a brand that had indirectly inspired its creation. Clearly, Dr. Pepper was the prize. This is where 7-Up truly got lost in the shuffle. The New York Times coverage of the acquisition didn't even mention 7-Up in the headline. 3 years later, 7-Up changed its formula for the first time ever, another troubling sign. The adjustment was subtle, enhancing the lemon-lime flavor, and they dropped the Uncola slogan to attract younger consumers. That Uncola campaign had connected so effectively with 1960s youth that by the 1990s, those same consumers were 30 years older, giving 7-Up a reputation as a drink for older demographics. In 2008, Cadbury Schweppes spun off its beverages into Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, again overshadowed. 10 years later, Keurig purchased that company for over $18 billion, forming Keurig Dr. Pepper. Once more, 7-Up was overshadowed. Where 7-Up stands today? Today, 7-Up is just one of many beverages in that portfolio. It doesn't stand out significantly, certainly not like it once did. They've been declining for so long that most people watching this probably had no idea 7-Up was ever such a major player. Did you know? Let me know in the comments. It's a fascinating story, but also somewhat depressing. If you're a 7-Up enthusiast, these past 10 minutes probably haven't been easy. But it also illustrates how larger corporations can push smaller competitors out of the market. Do you drink 7-Up? or do you prefer competitors? Have you ever played the 1990s video game featuring their mascot, Cool, Spot, the anthropomorphized red duck from their logo? They constantly tried appealing to younger audiences. Interestingly, 7-Up is now part of a company with the resources to potentially revive the brand. But is it worthwhile at this point? It's been so long, and the demand may not exist anymore. Share your thoughts about 7-Up or anything else discussed here in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.